When painting a portrait, the underpainting will often define the style of the entire painting. Mainly because when your underpainting is dry, the color will subtly show through every layer of subsequent glaze without creating a muddy hue since you won't be mixing them together. There are a few different underpainting techniques that an artist can use, and each one will create a different look and feel. We will talk about some of the different underpainting techniques taught in this course and discuss why I chose to use these particular underpainting styles and explore other options that you may choose depending on the style you are trying to achieve in your own personal artwork. Whether you're looking for a classic or contemporary look, there is an underpainting technique for you and your personal style. When you are creating a realistic portrait, it is important to begin by deciding upon the desired overall color and style of the painting. When it comes to selecting the colors for your painting, careful consideration should be taken. Will you go with bold and vibrant hues or more muted tones? You may choose to replicate traditional portraiture styles or opt for something more modern and abstract. These key choices will serve as a foundation for your portrait, but be sure to finish your portrait by giving it a personal touch that allows others to recognize its classical style while making it stand out and making it your own. With an informed approach and thoughtful consideration of these decisions, you can craft something meaningful that accurately reflects your artistic vision. When I created the Realistic Portraits for Beginners course, I wanted to choose underpainting styles that would best help beginner portrait artists achieve realism, that would also prepare them for more advanced painting styles after they had completed the course. This is exactly why I chose local color underpaintings as well as a grisaille underpainting. As you've learned in the local color lesson, the local color underpainting is often used as a starting point to establish the correct hue, tone, and value of an area in a painting. The beauty of local color underpaintings is that they help new portrait artists find the answer to common color problems like chiaroscuro, harmony, and contrast. Although attractive, local color underpaintings can sometimes give you a more stylized, even cartoony looking portrait because there's no real cohesiveness to the underpainting, since every object or subject is painted in its local color as opposed to a monochromatic underpainting is. Grisaille, on the other hand, is an underpainting technique that involves painting in tones of gray. Grisaille underpaintings are often used to create a photorealistic painting because the tones of gray help establish accurate value and contrast in the painting. Unlike local color underpainting, the entire painting is painted in monochrome. By initially removing the color and focusing instead on the highlights, midtones, and shadows, you can take all elements of your portrait painting into account at once. I've chosen to teach this method specifically in black and white because it really does allow beginner portrait painters to hone their skills on the values of their painting without being distracted by the colors of the painting, which could lead them astray during the learning process. Also, once you've grasped and practiced the 6 portrait demonstrations in this course using the first 2 techniques of underpainting, you can explore other monochromatic colored underpaintings and you'll have a greater understanding of why and how they work. After completing this course, if you are looking to take your artwork up a notch and make it more personalized to your painting style, then consider trying out some of these different styles that I'm about to discuss with you. Other underpainting color schemes that you may explore after this course. Monochromatic underpainting is a common, centuries-old painting technique used in classical painting to create a more optimized finished piece. Translating the neutral black and white grisaille underpainting that we use into other monochrome underpainting colors requires a little bit of knowledge of color theory and a little bit of a deeper understanding of how each specific color will affect the overall artwork. But once you learn how to utilize these underpaintings, you can create a much more dynamic and creative painting that suits your artistic style. So why don't we get into these? Brunaille. For a gentler light and shadow effect that more resembles a sepia tone look compared to the hard edge black and white grisaille underpainting, use a brunaille, an underpainting composed mainly of umber, white, and black paint. You can even achieve warmer shades of brown by substituting burnt sienna tones and using your burnt umber as your black for adding softness and warmth. Verdaccio or verdaccio. Grisaille, or verdaccio depending on French or Italian terms, employs different shades of green for underpainting when you mix yellow ochre with black paint that has a bluish undertone. This technique is used to create the same complementary color effects that were taught to you in the muddy colors lesson, meaning that we know that skin tone is a warm hue on the color wheel, manifesting as multiple levels of reds and oranges. To craft realistically glowing shadows, you could use a greenish underpainting that will help bring out the complementary nature of red. This way you can make stunningly natural looking artwork. Similarly, I used a variation of this technique in this painting. Here, I painted the entire underpainting in the corresponding complementary color as the visible skin color. Bistre or bistre. So bistre employs different shades of brown and yellows or ochres, and to mimic this effect, which was originally created using ash or soot, you can substitute your black with burnt umber and add yellow ochre to create soft effects similar to Vermeer style of underpainting. Venetian reds, ultramarine blues, or any color really. When it comes to selecting a color for an underpainting, it can be overwhelming to choose just one. Yet, fortunately, working with a monochromatic palette of the same hue will help you keep your desired consistent tone and make all of the components come together to form a unified artwork. Ultimately, though, there's no wrong color for this technique, as you can pick whatever suits your style and creativity. You may use your underpainting's colors to complement your glazing, like a violet underpainting under yellow glazes or blue under orange. You can also use bold or subtle colors to suit the color scheme in your client's home or office. You can use popular monochromatic earth tone colors that translate throughout the entire piece, such as Venetian red, burnt umber, burnt sienna, and yellow ochre. However, you may even break free from any conventional style you wish and push the boundaries of color and light, because ultimately realism does not mean that your style cannot be expressed. You should be able to play with your style and be able to achieve realism at the same time.